Welcome to Christian Statesman. I'm your host, Zach Wagner, and this is episode 78, Where Have All the Children Gone? I was born at the tail end of the baby boomer generation. America in the 50s and early 60s was still an idyllic place. We had won the big war and American prosperity was universal. Social conditions were moving forward positively, and the country had never enjoyed a more peaceful and optimistic 15 to 20 years. Soon, Vietnam and the counterculture of the 60s would begin an era of transformation that has led us into the conditions we face today. But back then, times were very, very good. I grew up in a family of 4 children. When I became of age, a top priority was to find a good, wholesome girl who wanted a family of her own. I was fortunate to be successful in that goal, marrying in my mid-20s and quickly having 4 children of our own. I was quite lucky to be matched with a woman who had similar goals of faith and family. We gave our all throughout our best years as dedicated parents, seeking to provide a better life for our growing family. Our love was focused on God, each other, and our family, and the best for our community. For us, this was the natural thing to do. Family and children were central to our purpose and existence. As God's children, we saw the benefit of providing life and a home for more of God's children. We understand that to be a part of His plan also. But somewhere along the way, through the years of our adulthood, things have changed. The typical family we knew growing up has become a rarity. Our society has gone from comfortable large families with a number of children, to families with perhaps a few children, to couple relationships with one or no children. Where have all the children gone? Should we be concerned that our desire for family and the perpetuation of our species has declined? Perhaps the best measure of the stability of a society is a demographic known as replacement rate. This figure is different from birth rate, in that it measures the number of children a couple would have to replace themselves. Assuming 2 people, a mother and father, would eventually pass away, what is the number of posterity remaining to replace them and carry on their legacy? Experts agree that in order to maintain both an economy and a culture, a nation must have a replacement rate of at least 2.1 to survive. A rate of 1.8 to 1.9 can be reversed with some reproductive effort. Historically, no culture that falls below 1.7 has ever been reversed, and below 1.5 it is impossible to reverse. Let us translate. If the average couple does not have at least 2 to 3 children, their society will eventually lose both its economic foundation and its culture. They will, in effect, breed themselves out of existence. When I was a child, the replacement rate across the United States hovered around 3.8. By the 90s, it had fallen to 2.7 and now stands at a near-fatal 1.7. Europe is worse, standing at an irreversible 1.3 for the continent as a whole, with some countries such as Spain falling below 1.1. Over the last 20 years, it seemed only Catholics and Mormons were having any children, championing a theological reasoning for large families. Now even those groups have trailed off and trended downward towards the national average. What does this mean for the rest of us? The reasons behind the decline of traditional child-filled families will be tabled for the moment. One could argue all day long about the reality or non-reality of overpopulation, the supposed limited resources of the planet, social changes, reimagining of couple relationships, career priorities, growing infertility rates, global population reduction agendas, or any other number of justifications. The social or moral reasons for children are an entirely different subject. The outcome of our current trend concludes, we will soon lose both economic momentum and our culture. Western culture will continue to decline until it is replaced by another culture that does observe a healthy replacement rate. It is not a stretch to conclude that our own selfishness and short-sightedness may be our undoing. By accepting whatever normative reasoning for not having children, we are assuring the loss of everything we have worked for and built over preceding generations. The relativistic argument about what will replace us in the future is unproductive and speculative at this point. The whole argument revolves around the personal decisions we have made not to reproduce. The Bible has a wonderful poetic tribute to children in Psalm 127. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. Old outdated dogma? Perhaps not, as we see the implications of societal barrenness as potentially game-ending. As for us, the joys and struggles of raising a healthy family were worth every minute. When I look my wife in the eye, we have decades of unspoken understanding. And today, we experience an equally wonderful blessing, grandchildren. Happy indeed. It is our hope we can all rediscover the benefits, not just individually, but societally, of centering our lives around children and family. Thank you for being with us. We wish you all a blessed and family-filled week.